meow. Hi everyone, Meowtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Nas album, Magic 3. Legendary, groundbreaking, and influential rapper Nas. He is back with a new record. His second project this year, in fact, which is soundtracked by production from his closest collaborator over the past several years, that would be Hit-Boy, and together these two have made a series of albums that have people calling this current run in Nas's catalog one of the greatest comebacks in hip-hop history. I have been pretty vocal about this myself. You can check the reviews for those King's Disease 1, 2, and 3 albums. Now, these 3 records alone would make for a pretty prolific and fruitful partnership for sure. But Nas and Hit-Boy put out more than just that. Because in between these King's Disease records, we also had Magic, meaning the album Magic, as well as earlier this year, Magic 2. And I've covered these projects as well, but for the most part, they kind of felt like extras from the King's Disease series, or just like, smaller, more insubstantial albums to kind of hold us over for something bigger. And look, these projects, the songs on them, even if they're not hitting as hard as the King's Disease stuff, they're still kind of worth putting out because you're talking about an incredible amount of talent and creative chemistry between Nas and Hit-Boy. I've said it before, but even an average track from them is at least a few cuts above a lot of stuff that's out right now. So yeah, we had Magic and Magic 2, and now we have Magic 3, and at least on the surface, this one seems like a kind of different beast. It is longer than the past 2 Magic records and doesn't seem to be teasing toward anything beyond itself. Plus, there are some moments on this thing alluding to hip-hop's 50th anniversary this year, and I think in part Nas and Hit-Boy meant for this to be a celebration of that, at least in part. But when I actually dug into the entire thing, Magic 3 mostly feels like we're getting the same mixed bag of quality that we got from the previous 2 Magics, just now with it being longer and on a larger scale. Because for sure, in the track list here, you get some bangers with some stellar verses and production, like with Fever, which is not just a great song on its own, but also has an amazing callback to one of Nas's earliest and most fantastic cuts represent. Nas is in prime form on this track as far as rapping and lyrical ability, the wit, the luxurious imagery, the expressive delivery, the instantly catchy chorus. There's a lot to love about this track, which I can also say for Superhero Status, where Hit-Boy really pops off with the soul sample chops and bustling drums, turning pieces of Eddie Kendrick's I'm on the Sideline into this slightly psychedelic and jumpy boom bap anthem. And while on this track Nas sounds just as good as he has been on any top tier King's Disease song, there are other cuts on Magic where it just sounds like he's watering down the potency of the current comeback that he's on. Either on Tisk, where the sage advice wave he's been riding feels like it's turning into your dad who is constantly telling you how to live your life, or on I Love This Feeling, where the Nas success doctrine is reading more like something that you would catch on one of those motivational Sigma grind set posts on Instagram. And somehow the quality of this record dips from here with some of the weakest moments we've heard on any Nas and Hit-Boy record yet, like No Tears, which is an attempt at a meaningful moment with some distant vocals, some atmospheric chords, and marching snares. It sounds like a piece you would roll your eyes at if you heard it playing during a meaningful or sad part of a movie. An odd inclusion for a Nas record, but what's even stranger is his flat delivery for the duration of the track, to the point where it doesn't sound like he's rapping as much as he's just like bad spoken wording, even though lyrically he's pulling from some really devastating imagery here, losing loved ones, life lessons, etc. There's also Pretty Young Girl, which is a boom bap cut, all points bulletin. Nas is putting it out there. He saw a young hot girl and now he wants to date her. She's 135 and 5'5", and she's making him want to multiply. The track reads like a really bad Craigslist missed connections personal, and it's even weirder the way he fantasizes about their potential relationship, saying that for sure he knows that her dad rocks to Nas, and he's like gonna show her Notorious B.I.G.'s vocals as like a test to see if see if she's smart. The whole thing is just infantilizing and weird. From here, the record is not all bad, though. We do have Based on True Events, parts 1 and 2, which is really a 1-2 punch of great storytelling and production on the record. Both tracks deal in different personal experiences, but still bring themes of death and suspicion. And again, I encourage you to listen to these tracks in detail and get everything out of them that you can. I think they really play to Nas's strengths, which is why cheap flexes and forgettable hooks on Blue Bentley just don't really stick all that much with me and feel boring by comparison. Like, Nas can certainly do a lot of things, but for whatever reason, even with one of the best producers in the game currently, he just can't really make a great, hard-hitting, exciting party track. The ending of this thing is a bit of a mixed bag too. There's Jodeci Member, which I love the reference and the line that the track is titled after. The soul chops are a nice touch on the instrumental. But on this track, lyrically, Nas is exploring potential for a relationship or a romantic connection of some sort, and he is bringing some stale riz to the table, asking this person to try him, but try him like some new clothes or like vegan food. Meanwhile, Speechless Part 2 is quite a bit better than the weakest tracks on this LP for sure, but like in the grander scheme of this run that Nas and Hit-Boy have been on, is this song bringing anything new or interesting to the table? Not really. Japanese Soul Bar has a nice sense of place, but not much else. But 1-800 Nas and Hit is kind of like a victory lap to end all victory laps for this album series that they've been on, boasting the 6 projects they made, likening them to a classic movie box set, and throwing out hilarious imagery of them being hawked like in an infomercial. Nas even goes as far on this track to say that the king's disease that sort of started this whole thing is dead now, which could both mean the mindset that he started writing about there, but also the series itself. There's a big outro on this track too, with lots of shout outs, lots of mentions. You can really tell that Nas is giving us a very long goodbye here and kind of closing the doors on this whole thing. Overall, Magic 3, it's a decent and listenable project, but like the other 2 Magics, it does have some serious lowlights, and I still feel like it's kind of diluting things a little bit. I just don't see what this project adds to this run other than to just kind of give us, this big, nice round number of 6 as opposed to 5. Still, though, what an incredible run from Nas and Hit-Boy, because those King's Disease records, it's going to take a lot to top them if Nas even ever does. I'm feeling a strong 5 to a light 6. On this one, Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head, it's another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Nas, Hit-Boy, forever.